second, but just don't do it. Do not do it. It's really not worth your time. Honestly, no. Put your hands down. Put them down. No, don't. Oh, would you look at that? Stupid bitch. Every now and then, something happens that temporarily takes over the internet. It can be a funny video, a picture that gets edited and flung around from site to site, or unfortunately, it can be the electronic equivalent of neighbourhood gossip. As I'm making this video, the latest craze sweeping the internets is this Mel Gibson rant fiasco. For those unaware, basically what's happened is that Mel Gibson's current wife has left him, taking their child with her. She's then recorded telephone conversations she's had with him that have magically found their way online. Now, they aren't your average telephone conversations. These are grade A, massively unhinged rants. Now, to talk about this, not to add to the plethora of videos being hawked around on the subject, but more as a fan of some of Mel Gibson's work and what it all means for him and his future. So I'm interested in all of this. Well, for starters, I grew up in the 1980s, and Mel Gibson was someone back then that we all had affection for. He was in a bunch of movies that we all took to, like the Lethal Weapon films. But for me, he is Mad Max, and while I really like the other two installments in the franchise, The Road Warrior is simply one of the best films ever made. Set in the post-apocalyptic and action genres, if not in any genre out there. To the 90s, he moved into being a very capable director with The Man Without a Face and then Braveheart, which won a bunch of Academy Awards. Anyway, this isn't a biography channel special, so I'll move on, but the point is I like a lot of his work. Now, on to the phone conversations. In these apparent conversations, Mel Gibson appears to make racist comments and he appears to also threaten his wife physically. Now, my this is that while we all become hypnotised by car crash events like these, we should take these phone calls with a pinch of salt. First of all, let me make this quite clear. I'm despite racism. I think everyone is equal. Some people are assholes, some people are saints, but most live in the grey in between. Domestic violence of any kind, well, that's just plain shameful. And anybody who has been victim of this type of behaviour knows that it ruins lives, and perpetrators of it should face prison time. That all being said, we do not know what's been going on behind the scenes. We hear very one-sided telephone conversations where his wife, in full knowledge that the phone calls are being taped, doesn't say much, remains calm and lets Mel Gibson, no joke intended, crucify himself. I suspect that if she didn't know they were being recorded, she would have thrown much more back. I also don't know how much of this has been edited together. Testing for a second that he didn't say what we hear, but entering pretentious mode. As someone with a good bit of audio editing experience, I know how easy it is to take whole segments of a recording and rearrange them so they sound like something else. I just say that while I've never spoken to, let's face it, the few girlfriends I've had like this, and I would hope I never would, I have, like everyone, said things out of anger that I didn't mean. And had those comments been recorded and put on the net, you might all be laughing at me right now instead of Mel Gibson, but I suspect I'm not alone in that one. The last of these rants I'd like to make is that having watched interviews from the past few years, it is obvious that Mel Gibson has some serious issues. He's a confessed alcoholic who I believe has also been diagnosed with manic depression. Now, manic depression, or bipolar disorder as it's now known, an horrendous condition that twists your sense of reality around you, from euphoric highs to suicidal lows in an instant, and empathize with anyone suffering from this terrible illness. This raises questions of personal responsibility, and yes, other high-profile sufferers of manic depression, such as Stephen Fry, seem nothing but respectful to those around them. But this illness affects different people in different ways. I think Mel Gibson should be held responsible for his actions, but I think people should take this into account. I hope I'm wrong in this, but I think the way we are collectively tearing this man apart so publicly could lead to something disastrous such as suicide. He obviously needs help, and like I said at the start of this video, We really do not know what's been going on, so we can't fill in the blanks. If proven that other things have went on, then I might change my opinion, but right now I just kind of feel sorry that he has fallen this far, and I don't really need to comment on the alcoholism, as I'm sure most people have experience of someone they know who is fine when they are sober but obnoxious when they drink. This leads us on to the future for Mel Gibson, and indeed what of his past. In the upcoming Buncast, myself, Craig and Alan will be talking about separating art from the artist, but I'd like to briefly discuss it here. The question is, if it all turns out true and Mel Gibson is a wife beater and angry, hate-filled racist, will you still be able to enjoy his films? Someone like H.P. Lovecraft, who was a horror writer that has influenced whole generations of writers and filmmakers, he was an obvious racist. His stories are filled with fantastic and original ideas, but they also normally depict anyone not white as savage. Despite people still buy his books in droves. As before, it's all in relation to the type of following the artist already has before these revelations are made. For this reason, I think people will most probably still enjoy The Road Warrior without fretting too much about it. As for Mel Gibson's future, this is much harder to predict. I don't know how he can recover from this artistically. I think he should comment on it, apologise for the racist comments he made, show that he is not a violent man, and then simply move on. Even if he can't make high profile movies anymore, he should keep working as much as he can. I think in a year or two, maybe a film that acknowledges these issues he has had, such as a documentary or even fictional film paralleling his own life, may help people to understand better. I don't know how this is going to pan out, but Hollywood has forgiven a lot worse, just for Roman Polanski. The question is, can the public forgive a racist tirade? What I have to say about it, we'll see what happens, but like I said at the beginning, take most of it with a pinch of salt because we just don't know what's been going on. So leave a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe if you want more videos. In the next episode, I'll be reviewing N9. Thanks for listening.